With the NFL free agency coming up, what a great opportunity for me to kind of discuss some of the good players that are going to be free agents, some of the players that have already been franchise tagged, along with players that have been traded or could be in rumors of being traded this offseason. So if you want to hear more, tune in right after the intro. Thank you for tuning into podcast number 88 of Sports Talk with JWock. I am your host, Jonah Walkenfoos. And before we get into the NFL free agency breakdown, along with just some other rumors that could be going around in the NFL, if you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button. Also, you can hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode, so you can always stay up to date on what's currently going on in either the NBA or the NFL and possibly going into other sports here in the future. But like you heard from the intro, there's a lot of stuff going down in NFL free agency and just trades already. So let's start with that. So basically, there have been, I believe, 3 or 4 players, that have been franchise tagged going into or before free agency. There was already a deadline that hit. I believe it was just a few days ago as I'm recording this on March 5th. There's been 4 players tagged, and if you guys don't know what a franchise tag means, basically when you get tagged, the team that tags you can basically match any offer. And if you do decide not to match the offer from another team, let's say another team offers this certain player that got franchise tagged a certain amount of money, and the team that franchise tagged them is like, okay, we're not going to pay you that much. The team that franchise tagged them will get 2 first-round picks. So it's pretty crazy. Franchise tags are definitely a serious thing, and it makes it a lot tougher for other teams to go out and get those players. That's why those certain teams franchise tag them, so they can hold on to them at least for 1 more year and then try to get a new contract with them in the upcoming offseason. And then also so basically that's just kind of how the franchise tag works. So the players that got tagged were Breece Hall from the Jets, George Pickens from the Cowboys, and Kyle Pitts from the Falcons. And then there was a transition tag, which I actually had to do my own research on this. That's Daniel Jones. That's basically where the Colts can match any offer. I don't think they'll get any compensation picks if Daniel Jones does get signed by another team, but the Colts have the opportunity to match any offer if a team decided to give Daniel Jones that offer. So basically, and if you don't know what matching an offer means, it's like, let's say someone offered Breece Hall, like a 3-year, $45 million contract. This is completely hypothetical, but the Jets they could say, nope, we're going to match that offer, and then he'll be back with the Jets completely. Or they could go, no, we're not going to match that offer. You could go to whoever team, decided to give him that offer. But then the Jets would get 2 first-round picks. So those were the players that got franchise tagged, and then along with Daniel Jones, who got transition tagged. So those players are already out of the market. But let's talk about some key players that are going to be in the free agency market going in on March 10th, which is the legal tampering period, which is when teams can start negotiating and coming to agreement on deals. They just can't make it official quite yet until a few days later. But some of the key players are pass rusher Trey Hendrickson, who was formerly on the Bengals. Trey Hendrickson, definitely a player that's been in rumors for a while to possibly get traded. It didn't seem like the Bengals could get a deal done where they could find a long-term deal with Trey Hendrickson, so he's probably and most likely going to find a new home this upcoming or this next season, which he is a very good player, and I'm very curious to see a team go out and get him because, in my opinion, he could be a game changer and really elevate another team's defense. Another key player is the center Tyler Linderbaum, who was previously from the Ravens. I believe he's also going to be on the move. He's also a very good center, and he's going to be getting a lot of money this offseason, as what I would predict at least. And he also could really elevate the offensive line on another team. It's going to be very interesting. He's been very good for the Ravens. He's multi-time Pro Bowler, but I think it's time for him to find a new home, and I'm curious to see where he's going to go. Another player that can be, I believe, signed right now since he's been released from this team, but Tyreek Hill from the Miami Dolphins has been released, where he's going to be able to find a new home as well. I'm curious to see how that's going to go. I mean, he's just coming off of a season-ending injury this last season, and he does have a little bit of an attitude problem, if that makes sense, where teams may not want him fully because of his locker room presence. But overall, Tyreek Hill is he's a very good wide receiver, one of the fastest wide receivers in the NFL, extremely talented. The only team I really hope he doesn't go back to is the Kansas City Chiefs. That would be horrible, and I don't want to face him again as a Broncos fan twice a year. Another key player is Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from the Jaguars, an all-pro linebacker right there. Got released as well. I believe he may also be able to be signed right now. I'm not 100% sure about that. But he's a player, as a Broncos fan, that I wouldn't mind them going after. He's a very talented linebacker, and that is, if he doesn't go back to the Jaguars, there's always a chance that they could find a new deal for him. But I don't think that's going to happen. Devin Lloyd is really going to be a great player on another team and really help their defense out. The Super Bowl 60 champion is also, or the Super Bowl 60 MVP, is also going to be a free agent. Kenneth Walker from the Seahawks. He's going to be the big prize running back since Breece Hall got tagged. Kenneth Walker is going to be an interesting player, or an interesting situation going into free agency, as there are multiple teams that have expressed interest in them, including the Denver Broncos. I'm sorry, this is kind of a biased channel at this point, but not really. But Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl 60 MVP, I'm very interested to see where he's going to go, because it does seem like Seattle is most likely going to move off of him, which to me seems a little odd. I feel like if I'm Seattle, I'm still trying to just at least make an offer for him and see if he'll take it or not. But Kenneth Walker is going to be a very interesting target, and he might get overpaid. He might get paid what he should deserve. I don't know. What do you guys think is the proper pricing for Kenneth Walker? Because right now we're looking at around 12 to 15 million possibly per year for Kenneth Walker. Do you think that's a fair offer? Should he get more? Should he get less? Let me know down below. Another player that got released from the Patriots the other day was Stephon Diggs. He's going to be a key player going into free agency. And then John Franklin Myers, the defensive lineman from the Broncos, is also going to be a free agent. So based off of those key players, I'm going to rename them real quick. I'll put up a little graphic. So that's Trey Hendrickson, Tyler Linderbaum, Tyreek Hill, Devin Lloyd, Kenneth Walker, Stephon Diggs, and John Franklin Myers. So let me know, are one of those players a player that you would love your favorite team to go add in free agency? Let me know down below in the comment section below. But those are the key players. Let's look at some of the trades that have already gone down, where some teams are already making moves before free agency. And I have 3 trades that I'm going to note. There's been more, but in my opinion, I feel like those other trades really weren't the greatest. So let's first talk about the Kansas City Chiefs trading Trent McDuffie to the Rams for a 2026 first-round pick, which is pick 29, a 2026 fifth-round pick, a 2026 sixth-round pick, and a 2027 third-round pick. So basically, the Chiefs got 4 picks for Trent McDuffie. The Chiefs have already expressed that they really value developing cornerbacks like they've done with McDuffie. I believe they did the same thing with L'Jarius Sneed. I don't even know if I said that right, but it does seem like they're really going to be emphasizing getting DBs now in this draft and developing that. That's why they traded McDuffie, and they got a good haul for him. And then for the Rams, this is an interesting move. I personally think this could lead to something even more than they just wanted a good cornerback. The Rams might be going all in like they did in the 2021 offseason by trading their picks away for Stafford, when their GM basically said, nope, we don't need picks. We want to win Super Bowls. And this could be their possible last chance of winning with Stafford, because this could be Matthew Stafford's last season. But I'm not 100% sure, but it definitely could be a possibility. The second trade that went down was the Lions traded David Montgomery, the running back, to the Texans for offensive lineman Juice Scruggs, a 2026 4th-round pick, and a 2027 7th-round pick. We saw multiple teams interested in trading for David Montgomery. This is a move that, honestly, it sucks for the Lions in ways, but it's also good for them. David Montgomery was definitely not getting as much touches as he was the year before when they had that Sonic and Knuckles duo between him and Gibbs. Now it's just kind of Gibbs taking over. Montgomery getting that value in general is not bad. And the Texans adding a nice running back in Montgomery is going to be really helpful, especially for a team that's trying to make a push in the playoffs, But then we have the third trade between the Bears and the Bills, which actually happened today on March 5th. When I was at work, I saw the trade and I was like, oh, wow, this is an interesting trade where we see DJ Moore, the wide receiver, traded from the Bears and a 2026 5th-round pick to the Bills for a 2026 2nd-round pick, which is pick number 60 in this upcoming draft. In my opinion, I don't think it's a bad trade for the Bears. Getting a 2nd-round pick for DJ Moore is really not bad at all. You also had to get rid of a 5th-round pick, but at the same time, you get some good draft capital. You're going to be able to add a good player. And then for the Bills, it boosts up their wide receiver core. I'm not the biggest fan of DJ Moore, but I do know he's a very solid player, and the Bills really need like a true wide receiver one. Maybe DJ Moore can do that. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down below. But now that we've listed some of the trades, let's talk about some players that could be on the move that haven't been traded yet. So first up, let's talk about Max Crosby from the Raiders. It seems that most GMs are very much certain that Max Crosby, or that the Raiders at least, are very much more motivated than ever to trade Max Crosby. It does seem like Max Crosby has been very frustrated with the organization and just how they've been building the team. And I think Max Crosby could be a very interesting team, or it could be a very interesting situation where if he gets traded, he definitely can turn a team into a contender. And a team that I've heard could be under the radar, or the team that at least has the most interest in him right now from what we're hearing, is the Chicago Bears. So if he goes to the Bears, that could really elevate the Bears game, and that could definitely make them Super Bowl contenders. And then another player that could be on the move, which I'm sorry for talking fast if this feels like a very fast episode. This kind of felt like an episode where I didn't really know what to talk about, so we're going to talk about something that is going down soon. But the other player that could be traded is A.J. Brown from the Eagles. Eagles fans, I'm curious to know your guys' opinion. Do you want to keep A.J. Brown, or would you like to trade him? From some of the Eagles fans I've heard about, like from what I've heard, it does seem like Eagles fans would be more than willing to move on from him. It just depends on kind of the package they get. But A.J. Brown, definitely a player that I think the Broncos should monitor. I know he's not the best in the locker room, but at the same time, it's A.J. Brown. He's better than any of the wide receivers they currently have, in my opinion at least. But let me know what you guys think. And the final thing we're going to talk about quickly in this offseason is going to be, it's interesting, is the quarterback situation. Because, you know, the most important position in the NFL, or in football in general, from what most people would say, is the quarterback, right? So there are a few teams that do need a quarterback, since there are some, teams that have either released their quarterback or will release them, or are trying to trade them, or they just don't have a good quarterback in general. So some of those teams are the Arizona Cardinals, who just recently released Kyler Murray, or at least informed Kyler Murray that he will be released. The Miami Dolphins, who I believe have released Tua at this point. I don't know if that's official yet, so let me know down below. I'd like to know if that's true or not. And then for the Jets just need a quarterback in general. That definitely could be something that goes down in the draft, along with the Raiders. Like, those two teams need a quarterback, but it's like they might be able to draft one. The Jets are an interesting one, since they can't get like a Fernando Mendoza, assuming he gets drafted to the Raiders. So it'll be interesting to see what goes down with the Jets. And then possibly the Colts, as who knows what Daniel Jones is going to look like in this next season after a torn Achilles. The Steelers, is Aaron Rodgers going to come back? Or even if he does come back, like in the NFL at least, is he going to be on the Steelers? The Vikings, I've heard, have shown some interest in trading J.J. McCarthy. It's a very interesting situation, and I'm curious to see what goes down there. And let's look at some of the possible options, okay? So first off, I put the draft. Like, I think the draft is going to be one of the ways that most of these teams could look to add a quarterback and of their future. Kyler Murray, obviously a player released from the Cardinals, still a good quarterback. I think he just needs a new atmosphere. Malik Willis, probably one of the bigger names in free agency as far as quarterbacks go. He's going to be getting a decent amount of money, which I think is probably going to be an overpay, but he might prove me wrong. And then Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is still a decent, feasible quarterback. He's not very mobile, but he could still get the job done if you need a guy like that, or at least as a backup. And then I put like Aaron Rodgers maybe, and then Tua maybe. I'm not sure what's going to go down with Tua, especially like our team's going to give him a second chance, or is he going to really just be kind of that backup for the rest of his career? I'm curious to know what you guys think. But anyways, after all that's being said and done, that is going to be the end of podcast number 88. Once again, this was kind of just like a throw-in episode. Next week, I'm going to be talking about March Madness, which is coming up, which I am hyped for, by the way. If you haven't checked out on Instagram, I always like to post that stuff about March Madness, and I'm so hyped. I'm excited. The tournaments are already basically starting, so this is exciting stuff and an exciting time for me. But let me know what you guys think. What kind of player or what kind of move, should I say, would you want your favorite NFL team to make in this offseason? Let me know down below in the comment section below. But anyways, like I said at the beginning, you can always like and subscribe, hit the notification bell to where you never miss an episode. Thank you once again for tuning in to podcast 88, and I hope you all have an amazing week. God bless.